Absolutely. Here's a powerful and emotionally gripping opening in the style of Eric Thomas, designed to grab the audience by the soul and compel them to lock in for the entire set the standard speech. Listen to me. Before we even get started, I need you to do one thing. Lock in, not halfway, not with one ear on me and the other on your excuses. Lock in, because what I'm about to tell you, it ain't just motivation. This is the blueprint. This right here. This is the difference between being remembered and being forgotten. Some of you, you're waking up every day just to survive, just to get through, but I'm here to wake up something inside you, the part of you that was born to lead, born to rise, born to change the temperature in the room when you walk in. But you can't do that until you understand this one truth. You were not put here to compete with anybody. You were put here to set the standard. I ain't talking about talking a good game. I'm not talking about posting quotes on your story and then folding when life hits you. I'm talking about showing up with so much discipline, so much consistency, so much fire that people feel your presence without you saying a word. You tired of being overlooked? Set the standard. You tired of being average? Set the standard. You tired of life handing you the bare minimum? Then stop accepting it. Set the standard. Don't you dare walk out of this room or turn off this video or sit through the next 18 minutes with your guard up. Don't you dare let your pride, your past, or your pain stop you from hearing what's gonna unlock your next level. Because the moment you finally decide that you set the rules, the moment you finally realize that the culture, the tempo, the bar, it rises when you rise, that's the moment your whole life begins to change. So I need you right now, not tomorrow, not next week. I need you to make a decision, because this ain't just a speech. This is your shift. This is your standard. Let's go. Let me tell you something. When you're serious about setting the standard, the first thing you gotta do is kill the mindset that says, I just wanna be better than the next person. That mentality, that's for amateurs. That's for people who live off competition, not conviction. That's for folks who get comfortable being a little faster than the slowest person in the room. But I didn't come here to help you be better than somebody else. I came to push you to be so far ahead that the competition becomes irrelevant. You don't need to compete, you need to lead. See, when you wake up every day just trying to beat the person next to you, you start reacting instead of building. You copy, you chase, you compare. You lose your identity trying to mimic somebody else's highlight reel. And when you live like that, you always play small, because your measurement for success is tied to someone else's performance. That's weak, that's unstable, that's not how legends move. You weren't designed to compete. You were built to dominate in your lane, to create, to build, to move with purpose. You were built to be the one who sets the tone, not follows it. But in order to do that, you gotta stop checking for who's watching. You gotta stop adjusting your speed based on the people around you. You have to get so locked in on your own assignment that you don't even notice what the next person is doing. Why? Because the standard doesn't look left or right. The standard looks inward. The standard says, I don't care what they're doing. This is what I do. This is how I move. This is the level I require from myself, regardless of who's around. When you set the standard, you shift the whole environment. Your presence changes the energy. People start moving different just because you showed up. Not because you talked loud, not because you posted about it, but because you consistently operated at a level that made people question their own effort. You become the blueprint. You become the measuring stick, not because you're chasing validation, but because you're living with discipline and purpose. Every room you walk into, it gets sharper. Every team you lead, it gets tighter. Every dream you chase, it becomes clearer. But that only happens when you stop settling for better than average and start demanding elite from yourself every single day. Listen to me. Don't wait on a title to lead. Don't wait on permission to raise the bar. Don't wait on someone to fall off so you can shine. Set the standard before they even get in the room. Be so consistent that people start asking, who is that, without you ever opening your mouth. That's what I'm on. That's what I'm calling you to. No more comparing, no more calculating based on what others are doing. It's about you versus the standard you were born to uphold. You versus yesterday's version of you. You versus every excuse trying to talk you out of greatness. You versus every habit that's trying to keep you comfortable. When I walk into a space, I'm not asking who's the best. I'm not wondering what everybody else is doing. I already decided I am the standard. I walk like it. I prepare like it. I speak like it. I train like it. You're not supposed to fit in. You're supposed to stand out. But you'll never stand out trying to blend in with people who haven't made the decision to lead. You can't soar when you keep flapping with pigeons who ain't built for the clouds. So the next time you feel yourself measuring your progress based on someone else's pace, stop yourself. Remind yourself you weren't made to compete in their race. You were made to build your own lane so strong, so powerful, so disciplined that others start shifting their direction just to try and follow your steps. You're not just an example. You're the standard. And once you make that shift, everything changes. Everything. Set the standard and never lower it again. People keep talking about being leaders, about making impact, about building legacy, but let me ask you something. When people look at you, what do they see? Because I'm gonna be real with you, talk is cheap. Anybody can post quotes, anybody can say, I want to be great. But when it's dark, when nobody's clapping, when the pressure's on, who are you really? Are you the example? Or are you the excuse? See, being the standard means you don't wait for people to do right, you do right first. You don't wait for permission to go hard. You show up every single day with that energy already loaded. And most people, they're waiting. They're waiting on motivation, waiting on support, waiting on somebody to validate them. But when you are the standard, you move whether people recognize it or not. You're not driven by applause. You're driven by purpose. You're not trying to fit in. You're trying to build something bigger than you. That means you gotta live what you say. You gotta be what you post, because let's be honest, your little brother watching, your teammates are watching. Your kids, your classmates, your circle. They watching, not to see what you say, but to see if your actions match your mouth. They watching to see if you clock in early like you said you would. They watching to see if you fold when things get uncomfortable. You said you were a leader, then show them how it's done. Show them how to get back up when life hits you. Show them what consistency looks like, what accountability feels like. Being the standard isn't about being perfect. It's about being responsible. You can't lead what you won't live. You can't expect people to give full effort when you're only giving half. You can't push others to be disciplined if you're still entertaining distractions. You can't call for excellence when your own habits are average. You gotta be the one that sets the tone, not just in your words, but in your walk. The problem is, too many people want to lead from comfort. They want the title, but not the grind. They want the influence, but not the responsibility. They want the spotlight, but not the sacrifice. That's not how it works. You don't get to call yourself a leader if people can't trust your example. You don't get to say, follow me, if you ain't willing to go first. If you wanna set the standard, you gotta become the standard day in, day out, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when nobody claps for you. And you don't get to clock out either. This is a lifestyle. When you decide to be the standard, you carry that thing everywhere. In the classroom, at your job, at home, in the gym, in how you treat people, in how you show up when you feel like quitting, in how you talk to yourself when no one else is around. Every single moment is a chance to show the world how it's done. Not just talk about discipline, live it. Not just talk about consistency, be it. You become a walking blueprint. And listen, people won't always say it, but they're watching. They're learning from you, good or bad. You either show them what's possible or give them an excuse to stay average. You either raise the bar or you lower it. And if you're serious about leaving a mark, you better check what kind of trail you're leaving behind. Because one day, somebody gonna say, I learned how to work because I watched how they moved. I learned what discipline looked like because they didn't flinch. I saw real focus, real accountability, real leadership. That's impact, that's legacy. Not just being loud, not just being popular, but being consistent. Being the one they remember when everything around them was chaos, but you kept showing up, you kept doing the work, you kept standing tall. Not because it was easy, but because you made a decision. I will be the example, not the excuse. And once you make that decision, once you live like that, once you breathe that, nothing can stop you. Nothing can shake you, because you're not just standing in the room, you're setting the standard. Let me tell you the hard truth before you try to demand anything from anybody else. You better be demanding it from yourself first. Everybody wants greatness around them. Everybody wants their team to perform, their friends to show up, their family to support them. But the real question is, what are you bringing to the table? You want discipline, then be disciplined. You want loyalty, be loyal. You want effort, then give effort first. That's what setting the standard looks like. It starts with you, not them. You can't expect people to match a level you've never committed to. You can't ask them to grind while you're still negotiating with your alarm clock in the morning. You can't ask them to sacrifice when you're still holding on to comfort. You want to be a leader. You want to set the standard. Then look in the mirror and start demanding more from the person staring back. Because that's where the whole game changes. Not when others improve, but when you raise the bar for yourself. Let me be clear. This isn't about being hard on yourself just to feel busy. This is about taking complete ownership of your life. I'm talking about making a decision that you will no longer move through life at the mercy of emotion or convenience. You're going to operate by principle. You're going to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. That's discipline, and without it, you'll never rise. You'll always plateau. You'll always blame the outside world for what your inner world never mastered. See, when you demand excellence from yourself, you stop negotiating with your potential. You stop playing small. You stop making excuses for mediocre behavior because you already know. Average effort can't produce legendary results. You want legendary. You want to live a life that speaks long after you're gone. Then you better get real with yourself about what it takes. And then go do it without needing applause. It's about waking up and attacking your day before your day attacks you. It's about making the tough decisions that others avoid. It's about building habits that sustain you when motivation fades. You don't become elite by accident. You don't stumble into greatness. It's not given, it's earned. In silence, in sweat, in sacrifice. And I'm not talking about perfection. I'm not talking about never slipping. I'm talking about being relentless in your effort. I'm talking about refusing to let a bad moment become a bad day, a bad week, a bad life. Because you've got a standard now. You've got a line you don't cross. You've got a mission that doesn't pause just because life throws you a curvy ball. When you live like that, when you hold yourself to that level, people feel it, they respect it, they get inspired by it. Not because you told them to, but because they see the fruit of your labor. They see how you show up. They feel your energy, your focus, your consistency. You become the one that doesn't need to yell to be heard, doesn't need to push to be followed. You lead by example. You lead because your life is proof that high standards produce high impact, and you'll start to notice something else too. When you demand excellence from yourself, the world responds differently. Doors open, people take notice. Opportunities come your way, not because you begged for them, but because you became the type of person who could handle them. That's what happens when you raise the bar internally. Your external life starts to align with it. But don't expect it to be easy. Don't expect people to clap for you when you start choosing growth over gossip, structure over chaos, purpose over pleasure. They'll look at you crazy. They'll say you're doing too much. They'll say you changed, and they're right. You did. Because the old you was cool being average. The new you sets the standard. So don't water down your grind to make others comfortable. Don't lower your expectations just because you're surrounded by people who haven't raised theirs. Keep climbing. Keep pushing. Keep demanding greatness from yourself, not for validation, but because that's who you've decided to be. And once you live at that level, once you start moving with that kind of purpose, the world will never look the same. You don't get what you want, you get what you demand from yourself every single day. You ever walk into a room and just feel the energy drop? Like it's heavy, like people are dragging their feet, no drive, no fire, just going through the motions. That's because too many people in that room are reacting to the energy instead of creating it. They're waiting on somebody else to bring the heat, to set the tone, to make the first move. But when you set the standard, you don't wait on nobody. You are the energy, you are the spark, you are the thermostat. Let me break that down. Most people are thermometers. They just reflect what's around them. If the room is cold, they cold. If the room is lazy, they lazy. If the people around them gossip, they gossip. But when you're the thermostat, you control the climate. You shift the temperature. You walk into any environment and raise the expectation just by being who you are. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to perform. You just show up as the standard, and everything around you starts adjusting to match that frequency. And I know what some of you thinking, I'm not in a leadership position, or I'm not the boss. But setting the standard ain't about titles. It's not about positions, it's about presence. It's about deciding that every room you step into is going to rise because you brought discipline, focus, and intensity with you. When your energy is locked in, when your habits are consistent, when your work speaks louder than your words, you become the model for what's possible. And people start moving different just because you showed up. That's how cultures shift. That's how legacies are built. Not by talking louder, not by forcing people, but by being so dialed in, so locked into your purpose that people can't help but notice. You lead by example, you lead by consistency, you lead by refusing to lower your standard just because the environment isn't where it should be. You don't shrink to fit the space, you expand and stretch the space to fit who you are. But understand, being the one who sets the tone isn't always going to feel good. It's lonely sometimes, because when you raise your standard, when you demand more, when you don't tolerate mediocrity, some people won't like it. Some people will say you think you better than them. Some people will distance themselves because your discipline exposes their comfort. But don't let that shake you. That's part of it. That's the cost of influence. That's the weight that comes with leadership. And if you're not willing to carry that, you'll never shift the culture around you. So what does it look like? It looks like showing up early when others are late. It looks like working through frustration while others quit. It looks like taking ownership when things go wrong and giving credit when things go right. It looks like correcting the little things, the details that nobody else thinks matter. Because when you start treating the little things like they're big, you start creating a culture where everything matters. And over time, the people around you, they'll rise, they'll start mimicking your habits, they'll start asking questions, getting curious, wanting more. They'll start running harder just because they see you running full speed every single day. You won't even have to say a word. They'll follow your standard because they trust it. They'll believe in it because they've seen the results. That's leadership. That's how you build something that outlives you. But you gotta stay consistent. You can't shift the culture if you're still blending in. You can't elevate the room if you keep dumbing yourself down to be accepted. Your environment is either going to pull you down or rise with you, and that depends on what you tolerate. So stop adapting to average, stop conforming to comfort, set the standard and let the world rise to meet you. You were never meant to just exist in the room. You were meant to shift it, so carry yourself like it, every day in every space with every breath. You are the thermostat. Set the tone and never let it drop.